And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Now, if you guys are into psychology, there's like a theory that goes, there's no such thing as an original thought, just in life. And what that means is every single thought that could be had at some point has already been thought by somebody in the past, or it will be thought by somebody in the future, meaning even if it gets thought by somebody in the future, even though you might be the first one to think of it, it's still, in a way, not an original thought because it will not only ever just be your thought. There will be other people that will independently have that same thought on their own and have no clue that your thought even exists. Therefore, the theory says there's no such thing as an original thought. And there's even like another theory that says it's called like crypto amnesia. And what crypto amnesia means is sometimes you'll have a thought that you think is an original thought, but in fact, it's a thought that was already thought up by somebody else in the past, and you are actually stealing that thought, whether you are doing it consciously or subconsciously. So that's what crypto amnesia is. It's pretty fascinating. So if you guys have time, you want to learn more about it, just type into Google, type into YouTube, just type in original thought theory. But I want to ask that question in Pokemon. Now, the reason why I want to ask this question is because it's actually pretty funny, because the title of this video is it possible to have an original thought in Pokemon Invest in? The thumbnail for this video I had already created yesterday. I talked about the topic of this video in the Rattle Discord on Sunday. Or no, sorry. Saturday was the happy hour chat. I talked about this topic. I had two topics, my last topic and this one, and I was like, which one should I do? Just today, at the time recording this video, PokeVault made a video and he referenced original thought theory. Today, at the time that I was going to make this video. So even me thinking to make a video talking about original thought, PokeVault mentions original thought in one of his videos today. Like, I'm telling you, there's nothing in this hobby that somebody hasn't already thought of. Now, I think when it comes to, is it possible to have an original thought in Pokemon Investment? I think the answer is no. And the reason why I say that is, what are you going to do? You're going to say like the obvious stuff, like, you should go after, I mean, there's just nothing in Pokemon that could be original at this point. You know, Japanese promos, English promos, full art trainer cards, just you name it. Anything you think you can do, somebody has also already thought of. Now, this is the thing, and this is the most important thing. Just because somebody else has already thought of it, doesn't mean that that other person is doing it. So I think that is where the separation lies within the title of this video. Because in Pokemon, sometimes if you see something and you do have what you feel might be an original thought, even though somebody else has already thought of it, if you pull the trigger, you might be pulling the trigger far before anybody else. And I think that that is the key, especially in this hobby. And one of the reasons why I thought about this video was, in the past, I had made what I call plays, or like speculative plays, especially when it came to graded plays. I was like, you know what? I think a lot of people are going to want to purchase these cards. I was looking at previous sales and I was like, okay, I think this area of the market was undervalued. But by the time my cards came back from grading, by the time I listed them on the market, there was a bunch of competition. And when I originally sent those cards off for grading, that competition didn't exist. So my only thought behind that is, okay, well, even though I was independently having this thought on my own, there was also probably 4 or 5 other people independently somewheres in the world having the same exact thought. And it took the same amount of time for all our cards to come back to us. And by the time those plays came back, the market just became saturated instantly. And it was tough, because you think it's an original thought, but it's not, because there's just other people independently of you having the same thought at the same time. Now, where I've been trying to now change my tactics a little bit and move is I'm looking at areas of the hobby that were oversaturated for certain cards, I don't want to give it away too much, but if you understand what I'm talking about, is there were certain cards, certain type of cards for a period of time in this hobby that were just overly graded, but given enough time, people stopped doing those sort of grading plays because the margins for those type of plays really dried up. And they obviously, margins never went to zero, but it almost became not worth it for certain cards. And I'm watching the hobby now change. The supply of some of those type of cards are being eaten up, and I'm now seeing the demand for that type of card happen again. It's almost like this big loop where ton of demand, no supply. Too much supply, very low demand, till eventually now we're coming back to there's a strong demand, but because the supply has dried up, and the reason that supply has dried up is because people just stopped doing that play because they were caught up here where they were putting cards into a market that had a ton of supply for certain stuff. So it goes back to just the topics I talk about all the time is just trying to stay fluid in this hobby. But no, I want to ask you guys, do you think that there can be any original thought that you could have in Pokemon, especially when it comes to investing? Because I just feel like it's impossible at this point. And I listen to everybody talk, and if you're looking at Pokemon from the outside looking in, everybody in this little area of YouTube that we're in, everybody just has the exact same thoughts, same opinions from the outside looking in. You really have to get deep down the rabbit hole to start to even recognize nuances of people's collecting habits. Just from the outside looking in, people are like, oh, they collect Pokemon. They collect older cards, they collect new cards, they collect sealed product. It just, from the outside looking in, it just seems very, like, baseline. You really have to get down into, like, the niches of the niches to start to recognize that difference. But no, I think we're at the point, and I think the market and trying to, like, do some of these plays it's making it more and more apparent. Now, we are lucky. We are still in that very small percentage of people, especially when it comes to Pokemon investing, and maybe more Pokemon flipping. That's probably should have been the way I titled it. Maybe I'll go back and edit this video instead of saying Pokemon investing, put it more to Pokemon flipping. But I really think that the people doing these flipping plays, like the amount of people trying to do that, the amount of growth in the last 2 years, it's just so exponential. There's so much more competition for all this stuff. So it really makes you like have to work a little bit harder, maybe try a little bit harder to find those good plays. But at the same time, that sentence doesn't really hold a lot of merit when you look at like the Unigaba EVs and stuff. Like anyone could have bought those cards, sent them away to grading, whether you sent them to CGC, whether you sent them to Beckett, try to do that black label hunt, or you sent them to PSA and you're still waiting for those PSA submissions to get back. And just real quick tangent right now. My God, PSA's turnaround times have just gone to dog shit so fast. Like overnight, it felt like. And the reason why I say overnight is I was having submissions that I sent out early May. I got back early June. I sent out some submissions late June, didn't even get them entered. So they didn't even go to stage 1 in the grading process till middle of July. And then for those cards to actually get to stage 4, which is the grading, took till mid-August. So sent them in June, pretty much did nothing in all of July, and then just hit stage 4, the grading process, in middle of August, where I just told you not too much earlier than that, send a card away in May, get it back early June. Something crazy is going on. And I know when Nat Turner was on, I got to ask him the question, like, what's going on? We're sending cards to California. You guys are then sending them to New Jersey. Everything seems to be taking a long time. But if that's the case, something's going on internally at PSA. It just doesn't make sense. And the reason why I say it doesn't make sense too is there's probably like the obvious speculation a lot of people would have with PSA turnaround times is, well, PSA is just getting a lot more cards in, so they're not able to turn and burn as many as they're receiving. But when you look at the, gem rate data, their cards graded per month, they're actually in the negatives, meaning what they're grading in July is less than what they were grading in June. What they were grading in June was less than what they were graded in May. And percentage-wise, they're huge percentages less of how many cards are being graded. So I don't know what's going on because There was a beautiful time where every month PSA was grading more cards than the prior month, more and more cards, and it was all about like PSA scaling. But what doesn't make sense is all that should now make it so July and August should have way more cards graded than May and April because PSA has grown. They have that infrastructure now to turn and burn a lot of cards. So I have no clue what's going on. Mm. But yeah, that was just a little tangent. I don't know what's going on. And shout out to Mr. Jim from Z&G Emporium. James sent me an email earlier this morning, or maybe it was late last night. I don't know. I saw it when I woke up this morning for work. But my pack grading submission has finally gone through stage 4. It's in stage 5. Stage 5 is that assembly. So we will see if I will truly get punished for doing graded pack submissions in 2023 after what seems to be very apparent, like pack grading standard changes and stuff. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be 137 packs, pretty much all modern, like nothing crazy vintage, a couple mid-era stuff like Heart Gold. I think there's like a random Heart Gold Soul Silver Triumphant pack. There's a couple like black and white sample packs in there. But like nothing really semi-vintage. Everything is relatively modern. So modern is XY to Sword and Shield. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if I'm going to get rewarded, which I still believe I will get rewarded. Because all it's going to take is a couple tens. If I get those tens, oh, be beautiful. The problem is, if I get those sixes, if I get those sevens, if I get those eights, it's going to be pretty rough. But I'll tell you right now. So I haven't sent a ton of cards away or a ton of packs away for grading in the past. In the past, I only sent 8 packs. I sent an art set of Fusion, or not Fusion Strike. I sent an art set of Evolving Skies, and I sent an art set of Cosmic Eclipse. So only 8 packs I've ever sent in the past. And out of those 8 packs, 3 of the 8 were PSA 10s. The rest were PSA 9s, 0 PSA 8s. And those 3 PSA 10s alone made everything worth it. Like one of my Cosmic Eclipse packs alone in a PSA 10 sold for $236. Like that one pack pretty much paid for the entire submission. Then everything else was just, gravy on top of that. But I'll tell you right now, if in my previous submission I sent 8 packs away, 3 of those hit 10s. If out of the 137 packs I sent, if we get little to 0 10s, that'll be a bad day. That'll mean that something drastic has changed at PSA, and the pack grading scales have changed so much, and it will be sad too, because at that point it will become more or less impossible to get PSA 10s and grade them yourself, because at $30 a pack, like that's a big financial like risk, and with turnaround times, I mean. The packs I sent were in March. Here we are in August. So you got March, so middle of March, and then all of April, May, June, July, pretty much August. So we're upwards of 5 months. So this try to do your own, collection pieces. I want to have a pack set all in 10s with between 5 to 6 month turnaround times in between. You send out a pack art set, you get 0 10s back, so then you have to keep rinsing and repeat that at $30 per pack. It could take years to complete a pack art set grading it yourself. So, and that's only if 10s become damn near unachievable. And then especially if you're trying to buy some of these packs on the secondary market, and especially if you want to go the modern route too, it's going to be next to impossible. And I pray PSA doesn't change the scale too much, but I have a feeling I'm going to be in for it. Basic Trainer said, not grading dollar store packs is criminal. Well, don't worry, Basic Trainer. I sent a lot of dollar store packs along with that. But, Shug Nasty says, I don't understand pack grading. Just put the pack in an acrylic case. Listen, there's people in this hobby that just love stuff in between plastic, and especially stuff that's in between plastic graded by a third party. Recently, we saw booster boxes of Japanese 151 just being graded by some grading company that I've never heard of before. Just grade and seal Japanese boxes, put them in cases, And I was watching the premiums that those booster boxes were selling for. It's crazy. And this isn't like a reputable company or anything. It's just a company slaps an arbitrary grade on a booster box, a modern booster box, a Japanese booster box that is even one of the hardest booster boxes to even tell if they're resealed or not. Ugh, I don't know. Listen, I spend a lot of hours of every week, of every month, of every year trying to talk about the nuances of the hobby. And there is just some collector preferences in this hobby that still to this day I don't really understand. I just told you I'm grading 137 packs. I am not a buyer of 137 graded packs. I am a seller of 137 packs. I don't understand it, but it exists. It's just like a lot of this modern 10s that we are grading. I'm not a buyer of these modern 10s, but I'm a seller of these modern 10s. And I think sometimes the hobby is just a little, I don't know. The hobby is just very strange sometimes. Collectors' biases are so weird in this hobby sometimes. And listen, we could talk till we're blue in the face, but I don't really understand it. It's the same thing with Beckett Black Labels. When you have a Scarlet and Violet 001 promo, whether it's the Japanese 001 or the Chinese 001, and they have they have Black Label rates of close to 20%. To grade with subgrades is like $19-20, but people are spending hundreds upon hundreds of dollars to buy that card. It's like you can go out, buy that same Scarlet and Violet 001 promo, source a bunch of them raw, and pretty much with your eyes closed, send them to Beckett, and you'll probably get one of those will hit the Black Label, and you will make all these extra graded cards for free at that point because you're already willing to pay that crazy premium. Again, I don't get Black Label premiums, just like I don't get graded packs, just like I don't get people that want graded, like, booster boxes. I don't get a lot of stuff. You know, I love video games, too. I don't get graded video games. A lot of people love graded video games, which is weird, too, because I'm also into graded cards. I collect graded cards. I understand why I like graded cards, but I can't get to graded video games. So, I don't know. Like, even within, and that's like a niche in a niche, like, to collect graded cards is still a niche. To collect graded video games is still a niche. You think there would be more crossover there for me, but there's not. I don't really care about them, so. But it's hard. All right. My goal tonight was simple. I'm gonna try to keep it a short live. I've been trying to keep short lives over and over and over again. I keep telling you I'm gonna really try it tonight if there's not a lot of questions. But, see, we got Rattle in the chat. We got number one mod in the game. Good to see ya. We got Pokey Kid, Candyman, Chris Texas. Catch 'em all collectible says, I don't have to use 2x for 20 minutes this time. Ooh, Mr. Dan, Catch 'em all collectibles. This is not tax advice, but it's got to be tough to listen to me not on 2x speed, just regular. Felipe De Sosa says, PK stealing my thoughts now. Lucky Rattle is here to witness, everyone, yeah. Rattle's been, I'll tell you what, I shout out to Rattle, and not to like pat his ego too much, but the content Rattle's been pumping out lately, he's really stepped up the game, and it's been a lot of fun to watch, especially with as recently as the most recent Stolen 151 product from that game store, which was a super, super weird, like, series of events. If you guys were in the Rattle Discord, like, all that played out in the Discord. Like, the general chat was going crazy. People were like, so what happened, if you guys haven't been watching his videos, so to pretty much like sum it down, there was a game store out of Texas. They were selling Stolen 151 product. In the chat of that Whatnot stream, everybody kept writing like Rattle's name. People were just getting instant banned in the chat. So then Rattle was just in the happy hour. He wasn't really paying attention to what was going on in the general chat, and until a bunch of people started pinging him. They're like, hey, Rattle, this guy's on Whatnot right now. He's selling Stolen 151, and then there were screenshots, and there was like a lot of people saying his name in the chat. Rattle goes into the Whatnot stream just to watch it. As soon as Rattle joins, doesn't say a single word. His name just pops up as Rattle Pokemon join. Instant ban. So they instant ban Rattle. And then Rattle's like, what is going on? This is weird. Like, I didn't even say anything to these guys. I was just being pinged by people. I was curious. Rattle goes on to the guy's Instagram account, Never talked to this guy ever, not one single time. Goes on to his Instagram account to just like, who is this guy? Like, what game store? Insta ban, meaning he was already pre-banned on this person's Instagram. He never talked to this guy once, like never communicated, and was pre-banned from his Instagram. That is like next level scummery by these scammers. Like, and I'll tell you right now, if you feel that you have to pre-ban Rattle, meaning he hasn't even ever joined or visited your Instagram account, but you feel that you need to pre-ban him, that probably means you are doing some shady shit and you know you're doing shady shit. Like, that is the most ridiculous story. Like, think about that. That is you being so afraid of somebody that you decide to ban them on Instagram before they know you exist as a human being. Crazy stuff. But yeah, we were in the Rattle happy hour when all that was happening, and Rattle was just watching it, and it was funny like watching Rattle's thought process as he was going through it, because he was just like, this is so confusing. What is wrong with people? Like, he couldn't even like comprehend it in his head, and I'm watching it unfold too, and I'm like, this is so weird that these scammers are now so worried about him that they're pre-banning him. They're trying to hide stuff from him, like cover their tracks, but on the internet, you know everyone knows. I say dumb stuff on here. I do stupid stuff. There's a track record on the internet. If you say it on the internet, somebody has a screen record and somebody has a Snapchat. It exists somewheres out there in the cloud that is the internet, and you can't really like pull stuff back. Like, it's out there. And it's just funny that people thought that they could get away with it, and especially stolen 151 product 2 months after, or 2 months before release. And like, this is where I differ with a lot of people in the hobby. So I'm totally against stolen product, but where I differ with a lot of people, I'm fine with breaking street date. A lot of people are even anti-street date. Like, I'm actually okay with breaking street date, which is probably going against like how Rattle feels about stuff like that, because I'm fine with it. If you're breaking street date means you have, like, you get product from distribution, you're doing it in a legal means, your distributor sends you that product, and then you sell it. Well, I shouldn't say sell it. Like, selling, I'm still kind of against, like, if you're selling product early, but more in the sense of I'm okay with breaking street date if you're opening that product, because the entire way you got that product, there is nothing illegal about it. Sure, you could probably get in trouble with Pokemon, like opening product early, but where I don't really care is there's a lot of YouTubers out there that Pokemon sends YouTubers product and allows them to open up that product early on the channel in order to, like, you know, advertise that new set or whatever. So, like, that just doesn't bother me. But that's a huge difference between breaking street date because you got everything legally and you're just more or less like using your connections through distribution, opposed to getting stuff 2 months early, knowing it's stolen, selling packs for huge, gigantic markups, just like more or less hurting platforms, which those people that are selling this product on whatnot, and then still having the gall and the wherewithal that you need to fucking pre-ban Rattle because you know shit's like about to flow downhill. Like, don't put yourself in that position. Simple. So simple. Like, just if you're doing dumb stuff, just don't be in that position in the first place and you're fine. But and then, you know, the crazy thing is Rattle makes that video and then people always double down. They always double down. It's like they did something wrong and then they decide to double down that it wasn't like bad. It's just, listen, people out there, I'm going to give you advice. If you fuck up, I fucked up. I've made more apology videos on this channel than I have pretty much any other videos. Like, apology videos just go 1-in-1 with this channel. I fuck up all the time. But, like, if you fuck up, man up, say you're sorry, move on. Leave it in the past. If other people can't move on from it, then those people don't belong with you on your journey. They could go do their own journey. But if people can't move on, but like the fact that people double down and they're not willing to just say, I fucked up. Like, I'm going to try to move on from it. I'm going to learn from my mistake. That's it. Rattle will never make another video about people again. He's just like, oh yeah, they messed up. I proved my point. Back onto the Blake Sprague stuff. But no, people double down. Then you got these guys going and finding other scammers that Rattle has made videos of in the past, and then start messaging those people, and then talk to these people about like joining forces. And Rattle had a fantastic quote today. I forget. He was like, it's the megazord of scammers. Like they're all joining together to create one giant megazord of scammers. Like some beautiful line he said. But it's just, and then you see the people that they're joining forces with. It's comical at this point. Like it's, listen, are those videos a little bit of drama? Are they a little bit of clickbaity in a way? Sure, I'll give you that much. Like there's a little bit of that drama, but like it's like watching a car crash happen. You know a car crash is happening. You know you should turn away. You know you shouldn't watch it, but you end up watching it anyways. And it's like watching a car crash. But the problem is the person behind the wheel, they know what they're doing the whole time. And they're actually in full control of that car, and they're deciding to crash it anyways. So then it makes you even watch even more. Crazy. This hobby there's some weird people out there. We got Jake from Pallet Town. Jake, good to see you, my friend. Nexus says, I wonder if you can identify if PSA is laying off graders from the downside. I haven't heard anything. No way I would be able to identify that. I wouldn't even do it, but I guess you could go to like Glassdoor and see if there's like recent reviews of graders being laid off, or if there's any job postings on the PSA website or Indeed or any of these, job platforms. But I'm pretty sure like even Jersey's hiring a lot of people right now. I know a lot of people from at least what Nat Turner said, that a lot of people are willing to relocate from the California office to the New Jersey office, because New Jersey is really going to be like the hub when it comes to trading cards, where a lot of the trading cards are going to be graded. So maybe that transition was weird, just losing a lot of graders from the California facility, moving them into New Jersey. And it's not just as simple as moving graders. You got to do all that receiving, the people that are putting cards into the Sonic welders and the slabs and everything. And then you need that infrastructure to move out a ton of packages. Like, I can't even imagine the logistics of how many packages PSA just packages and ships per day. It's got to be ridiculous. Their backlog at one point was 10 million cards. Now, obviously, 10 million cards isn't one card per package, but even on the high end, the biggest order you could possibly have is 500 cards per order. And Nat even said it himself, like, the average submission is not 500 cards. It's low. It's less than 30 is the average submission. So if you had 10 million cards part of that backlog, and the average submission is around 30 cards, that is so much. Like, their shipping and receiving department just has to be massive. It's probably bigger than the grader aspect, I would think. And that's the tough part. It's the logistics just behind running a company, and running a company at that scale. I mean, just the scale of the amount of plastic they go through with, the actual slabs themselves, and especially the fact that Nat said that they're increasing the quality of the slab. It hasn't rolled into Pokemon yet, but they're going to be 20% like heavier slabs, better UV protection, harder to crack, stuff like that. Mason Berry said, spoilers, PK will in fact get punished. Ooh, I pray. Please, hold on. Everybody pray with me. Please, God, let Mason Berry, who never likes a single video of mine, please let him be wrong. And please let me clip this scene from this live in the future so I could turn it into a short and show the world how Mason Berry was wrong. Please, God, let that happen. All right, that was my prayer for tonight. Was that a waste of a prayer? Maybe. Let's see. Good to see Son of a Mewtwo, Derek Lavender, McNick. Good to see you, my friend. Nexus says, on modern packs, they sell well. Modern packs in PSA 10s sell phenomenally well. But any other grades? Ooh, not so much. Shug Nasty says, I don't understand pack grading. Just put the pack in an acrylic case. Yeah, I think I actually read that earlier tonight. Oh. I jumped all the way to the bottom. Oh. Okay. Oh, we got Basic Trainer in the chat. Is Basic Trainer trying to shill MetaZoo right now. I'm hoping Basic Trainer is going to be at Charlotte Collecticon. I know during our last live, he said that there was potentially going to be a MetaZoo tournament like the same weekend as Charlotte Collecticon, but I'm hoping he's definitely going to be there. Pokey Beaches says, I've seen a few older ETBs graded online, but I can't remember the company. Yeah, I can't even tell you what company are doing stuff like that. Pokey Beach says, do you think PSA or CGC will ever start grading ETBs? ETBs probably would be after booster boxes, but Nat Turner, when he was on my live, if you haven't had a chance to watch that, Nat Turner does talk about it, that they have like at least thrown around the idea of doing graded booster boxes, but he says it on, the live, and he's understanding of it. There's no way to truly know if something is in fact resealed or not without, actually opening that product and being able to examine that card. But it's something they have a thought they have thrown out, but I don't think it's anything they plan to implement in the future, if ever. There's a lot of liability that goes into that. I just think there's a lot of people that don't really understand like the true liability. Let's see. Nexus says, I bought 4 10s, which were all decent EX era EX Ultra Rares for like $800. That's the good hits from EX era box for like 1/25th the price. So what Nexus is saying is he more or less bought all the hits of a set and for 1/25th of the price of that sealed product. And that sealed product, you're probably not going to pull 10s to begin with. Your card quality is probably going to be 9s. And then you're probably going to get maybe 1-2 hits per box. You're definitely not going to get 4. So I don't think that's the thing. When it comes to sealed product, people are willing to pay that premium over just the graded cards. It just is what it is. Dr. Greg 13 says, when are you, Rattle, and Ryan doing another podcast? Right now we're not doing any podcasts. So those are just kind of on the back burner right now. I'm open to podcasts again in the future with those two, but we'll see what happens. Pokey Kid said, PK, for the next podcast, replace CTR with Blake. Yeah. Can you imagine Blake Martinez and Rattle Pokemon in the same live, just going back and forth? See, this is the thing. I've never talked to Blake, and I haven't really watched like any interviews with him. Like, I don't know how he handles himself, and I definitely don't know how he handles himself to adverse or like anybody who would challenge him, because Rattle would challenge him, right? Like, Rattle would say, you knew this stuff was going on. All your people seem to know what was going on. Like, what really happened? And I don't know if Blake would be like the PR guy enough where Blake would be able to navigate those type of questions from Rattle. I'm not sure. Ooh, Eggplant Low, great comment. He said, hey guys, like the stream. Appreciate it if you guys can. Let's get it up to 69 likes. We could try that. So Cameron Griffin says, love you for doing what you do, brother. Best YouTube channel for me. I appreciate that, man. Those are really super kind words. Let's see. We got, Pokemon Classics in the chat. Pokemon Classics had a good video. It was either today or yesterday, but he talks about going and sourcing a 2006 World Championship deck. So if you're not familiar with World Championship decks, they're like the winners decks, but they're not tournament legal. You can't play with them. The backs are not like Pokeball backs. They're World Championship backs. But he talks about buying them, and in that World Championship deck, there was like Blastoise EX cards that were used, but there's like 3 in the World Championship deck. But the photo that the guy had listed showed 4 Blastoise. So there's only 3 World Championship cards, but 4 were in the photos, and one of them had a little bit of hollow pattern, so it was the actual Blastoise EX. So Pokemon Classics did really well on that purchase. And obviously, anytime he does storytelling, anytime he does, well-recorded videos, it's always a lot of fun. So, but yeah. Good video recently, Pokemon Classics. Mason Berry said to Broke Man Cards, he said he'll see him in Charlotte Collecticon with his binder. So Mason's going to be one of the, I don't know what they're calling them, like table leaders. There's like 4 distinct sections in Charlotte Collecticon, and there's a couple people leading sections. Like I'm in Nick Old School Pokemon section. I believe Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles is doing one. Mason's doing one. I think maybe Ray is doing the 4th. Maybe there's 5. I don't know. But uh, Shadowman 321 said, "What do you think about the future and ancient card in Pokemon Paradox set?" Can't even speculate on that, man. What do you think about the future ancient cards? I'm not even sure. I can't keep up enough with like Paradox is the newest set coming out. Like I haven't even looked at it yet. It'd probably be as simple as going to Poke Beach right now and figuring it out, but yeah. Dr. Gengar says, "What up, PK? Started checking out the lives recently. Just wanted to let you know I love the videos and info. Awesome chill spot. Appreciate you, Dr. Gengar, and I like that name too." Basic Trainer said he's 100% in for Charlotte. That's a beautiful thing, Basic. I am very, very happy. Uh, Broke Man Card says, "Is Ryan mad at PK or just can't stand him?" Question mark. Well, I don't think that's the case at all, seeing how me and Ryan were on a like an hour-long FaceTime call the other day. So I think Ryan's still okay with me. Robert Hayes says, "Yo, PK, when's the next podcast with the crew?" I just said, yeah, there's no podcast for the foreseeable future. TJT120489 said, "PK, what do you think the next Scarlet and Violet... Wait, what do you think... Oh, this is... I think you mistyped a little bit, but he said, "PK, what do you think the Scarlet and Violet in store for us? Do you think they're going to have crazy SAR or some kind of new texture?" New textures? No. I mean, Scarlet and Violet has already kind of changed a lot, going from the gold borders to the silver borders. They've already changed around the rarity scale. So I don't think there's going to be anything wild coming out anytime soon, which is good. I'm glad that Pokemon's doing very small incremental steps and not doing any major steps at once. Oh, yeah, Catch 'em All Collectible says Weedle Warehouse is lead in the 5th section. Let's see. TKK Collector said, "Just arriving. Glad there will be a live to listen to tomorrow. Was it a good rant? Doesn't matter. It's PK. Appreciate that, man. You guys are being way too kind to me tonight. But I'm doing my best. I tried to shoot for 30 minutes. I made it to 37 minutes. I made it to the bottom of chat. It's a good world. And it was a fun little topic tonight. And I want you guys to think about it. Can you actually have an original thought in Pokemon investing or Pokemon flipping? Or is every single thought that could possibly had, has it already happened? Has somebody already had that thought? Or even if you are having what could potentially be an original thought, somebody at the exact same moment, somewheres in time, is also having that exact same thought at the exact same time. I want you guys to think about that. Let me know down in the comments after the video. But as always, guys, appreciate every single one of you. And I'll catch you on the next video.